Sophie hated the antique mirror in her bedroom. She never bought it. It just appeared one day after her landlord said he found it in the attic. Its presence unsettled her, but she told herself it was just her imagination. One night, as Sophie brushed her hair, she noticed something strange. Her reflection lagged behind her movements. She whipped around to face it, but everything seemed normal. Laughing nervously, she turned off the lamp and went to bed. But as she was about to fall asleep, a faint creak made her eyes snap open. The mirror's surface shimmered faintly in the darkness, almost like water. She sat up, staring at it, but nothing else happened. The next morning, she decided to cover the mirror with a blanket. She couldn't stand the sight of it anymore. That evening, as she sat eating dinner, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Why did you cover me?" Sophie froze, her appetite vanishing. Slowly, she looked toward the bedroom. The blanket was gone and the mirror was uncovered, reflecting the empty couch she was sitting on. Her phone buzzed again. "You've been watching me." "It's my turn now." Shaking, she stood and approached the mirror cautiously. Her reflection stared back at her, but there was something off. Its expression wasn't her own. She leaned closer, her breath shallow. Suddenly, in the reflection, she saw a shadowy figure standing behind her. She spun around, but the room was empty. Turning back to the mirror, the figure was gone, but her reflection was smiling now. Panicking, Sophie grabbed a sheet and threw it over the mirror, pushing it into the corner. She vowed not to look at it again. But late that night, a tapping sound woke her up. It was coming from the mirror. The tapping grew louder, more insistent. Then came a voice, muffled but clear. "Let me out." Terrified, Sophie sat frozen in her bed. The blanket slid off the mirror on its own, revealing her reflection. But this time it wasn't her. The figure in the mirror smiled wider, tilting its head unnaturally. "I'm done watching," it said. "Now it's your turn." The mirror began to ripple like liquid. Sophie screamed as the reflection's hand reached through the surface, grabbing her arm. The lights flickered and the room was filled with a deafening silence. The next morning, Sophie's apartment was quiet and still. The mirror stood in its corner, reflecting the empty room. But if you looked closely, you could see Sophie on the other side of the glass, pounding desperately, her screams silent. The mirror shimmered once more, and then went still,